Lord, I'm available to you. Available to you. Lord, I'm available to you. Lord, my storage is in me. Lord, I'm available to you. Available to you. Lord, I'm available to you. All my storage is in me. Lord, I'm available to you. Available to you. Lord, I'm available to you. All my storage is in me. Lord, I'm available to you. Available to you. Lord, I'm available to you. Lord, my storage is in me. Lord, I'm available to you. Available to you. Lord, I'm available to you. All my storage is in me.
The views and everything now. I can't remember everything right off the top of my head. But yo, this is the Logic Based Collective podcast. Thank you for joining us. It is 8:35 on a Monday. For those of y'all that normally rock with us, you know that's an accomplishment. So, so 8:35. This is a Logic Based Collective. Whether you are watching on DB in the Digital Boombox Network, We thank you. If you're listening on the app, we thank you. If you are watching via Soft Spoken Prophet TV, we also thank you. We would implore you to go to the Logic Based Collective on YouTube and subscribe, like, share, and subscribe wherever you're watching. Stop what it is that you're doing. Go to YouTube. In the search bar, put the Logic Based Collective. And then once our picture comes up, once our logo, you see that logo, we want you to mash that subscribe button. And then after you do that, there's a button that says share. Now, thing about sharing, no, I can get into all that. Okay, so it's time we're gonna start. We would like for you to like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm saying that because maybe I figured that if you guys are like my oldest son, if I say something 3 times, it'll happen. So like, share, and subscribe. We're glad for y'all to be with us this Monday night. And today we have a special guest.
Yes, we do.
We have First Lady of Holy Trinity Church of God in Christ, the proprietor of the Me First platform and podcast.
Talk to him.
Okay.
She's a mother of 2.
Mm-hmm.
She's an evangelist missionary. She's a singer extraordinaire, a vocal extraordinaire. She's one of the. You don't have to take my word for it. If you ask people around, you'll find that out. You say Sharice Morgan, you're gonna hear she's a top 5 alto all-time Springfield. But today, we have the privilege of being able to talk to her this evening. Let's give it up for First Lady Sharice Morgan.
Thank you.
So we're gonna start with you, and then we're gonna go. We're going ladies first because the gentlemen in this room are about chivalry.
Yes.
So just want to ask you how you're doing. We're just gonna go around. We just want to see how everybody's feeling. How are you feeling today?
I'm good. Everything is good. I'm feeling real good because my kids are with my mom.
Hello.
Hello. 2 nights free.
Okay.
Oh,
Come on.
48 hours.
Come on. I didn't have to cook nothing. I made sugar smacks.
Oh man. Guilt-free cereal.
It's a good day.
Oh, man.
That's a viable
good
difference.
Right.
Come on.
She want warm food.
See?
Siobhan, how are you doing?
I'm feeling real good. This was a 3-day weekend. Didn't feel like it at all. But that's all right. It's been a really good weekend. I had the privilege of watching my sister preach yesterday.
Nice.
She's
Yeah.
awesome. She's just an awesome human being altogether. And being able to see her do her thing was really nice.
Shout out to you.
Yeah, that was great. So yeah.
A to the J. All right, eye in the sky. How are you doing?
I'm good. Can't. Oh, I'm on mute. I'm good. I can't complain. Having a good day. Can't complain. We had a good day today, and we had the day off. So I mean,
And,
Okay.
I mean, overall, the weekend was good. Church was good. And it was good to see you guys more than normal this weekend. Like that was cool.
It was
Like
good.
we've definitely seen each other more than.
I forgot about that. Was
You know,
nice.
hey.
That was nice.
Yeah. Don't steal my statement. I sounded thoughtful.
You know how people been.
But yeah, it was cool.
My weekend was smooth, productive, got a lot of things done. Trying to expand myself in several horizons. Feel like that's going well.
Yeah.
Blessed.
Yes, sir.
Excited to be here tonight.
For sure.
Well, the weekend, 3-day weekend went by a little quick. We did get to be around one another a lot more, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Eventually, we spent the majority of the afternoon powwowing
Yeah.
and figuring some things out, which, so if we already seem like we're warmed up, that's why. Well, yeah, it's been pretty good weekend. Sunday, I feel like has become I don't think it ever was a day off in my adult life, but it's really not a day off. Like we really my parents are we're all in training. We're all up there working the altar. You
Right.
just never know what you're gonna. I mean, I've never been so glad for fasting and prayer, but we're. But it's going down. We it's been a good weekend, and here's to a good week. Today, so last week we were talking about teach me how to love. I was brought up just because it was Valentine's Day week. I haven't asked nobody how the Valentine's Day went, but you know, but Valentine's Day week, just talking about the way that we love in contrast to the way that God loves, right? And then talking about how in relationships it's already hard to balance your life, and so um, we had in our clip we had a back and forth between KJ and I where he was like, it would be good to be able to hear from people that are in ministry that have to balance those things and have to balance their person to for the greater good, and like how are you always able to do that? I felt like it would be a good idea to be able to get the feedback of some first ladies, and you have quite a few years under your belt in that role.
Quite a few.
And so, with and you guys are making, and of course, we're from the outside looking in, you know what I'm saying, right? It's just like you guys maintain a pretty good balance. It's not, you know what I mean, like in maybe you know what I'm saying, like I don't know what the struggles would be. I've not been great with balance over an extended period of time. So maybe that's something that you can speak to. We will get back in there. I want to know about your platforms too, but we want to get right to the question. How are you able to balance being able to have that relationship, and then because your husband is so dedicated into his pastoral work, being able to keep your relationship where you want it to be as well.
I cannot say that I mastered it, but I figured out a way to pull back at times. Like this week, last week, because it was Valentine's Day, but Valentine's Day fell on Bible study night.
Yeah, that's Wednesday.
Right?
Yeah, that's
And so I had to figure out how to celebrate him and still be able to participate. Now, our Valentine's Day production was recorded previously on that Friday before. So we were able to air it on Valentine's Day. That's the way I had to set it up. We pre-recorded it the Friday before and then aired it. Yeah. Of course, technology sucks, right? So it didn't work. We went to try to go live, and it interfered into our Valentine's Day, and we ended up having to do everything at like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Oh wow!
That's when we were able to celebrate. Those are the sacrifices that you make being a pastor's wife. You make time, but usually you're doing it half awake, or you're giving your last 10%.
That's good.
You've given already the 90 to church, to kids, to work, to people, to your family. I mean, you think about just your husband, but you also have like sisters and brothers who are always pulling at you, right? Because they want to spend time with you too.
Yeah.
And so there's always that 90, and then there are times when I'm giving my husband my last 10, or vice versa. Sometimes he's giving me his last 2, right?
Yeah.
Because like KJ was saying in the clip, like he's everybody's person. He is the guy everybody's calling on when their father or their parent, somebody passes away.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I think, what are you gonna do? They're gone. Like, what do they want you to do?
No, but that's honest.
Yeah. But right. Well, like, what do they want you to do? It doesn't even matter. They just want him there. And so he's getting up sometimes 3, 4 in the morning, jumping up, going to the hospital because someone passed away. I gotta wake up now because now he's making noise. He's getting dressed. He's going out the house. And now my mind is saying, keep him safe, please, because he's running real fast, right? And he's driving real fast. Please bring him back here. That's where my mind is thinking. And now I can't sleep. Now I'm up wondering if everything is all right, worried about the family too,
Yeah.
right? And now he's coming back 6 o'clock in the morning, half awake. He lays down for maybe 30 minutes and he's off to work. That's the kind of lifestyle we're living.
Right.
And that balance is difficult. We've been doing this for 22 years. And that balance is difficult, and it gets worse because our time is pulled more in more directions than when we started.
I mean, at one point, y'all didn't have kids.
We didn't
At
have
one
kids
point-
for 8 years.
Right.
For 8 years, we didn't have any kids. And so when we got ready to balance our life, we go on vacation, we just went,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But now we're like, okay, now we got to figure out where these kids are going to go and how much, if they're going to go with us, what are they going to eat? Right? Because we can, like I said, we can get off on a bowl of cereal.
Right.
But these guys are like, we want McDonald's. That's $40.
Yo,
Come on, man. And they give you a smaller burger than they used to. That's like $40. What's up with that? You know? We're trying to find like suites where they got a kitchen so we can cook.
Right.
And of course, I'm the only one cooking now. So then that means
You're working on vacation.
I'm working on vacation. Come on, it ain't vacation. But
like
yeah,
vacations with kids. It's not vacation.
it's not
You need, like, a
vacation.
lot of work.
after the
You need
vacation.
2 more days after. Absolutely. So balance, I mean, it's difficult, but we try to find a way. I try to find a way because if I don't, he's not going to. If I don't push him to take a vacation, we would never go anywhere. It would always be church, church, church.
It's that tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
Like you trying to get the work done and
Mhm.
trying to.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you, like? So in terms of like how are you able to deal with that relationally? And the reason I say that is because like we read I read all the time on like social media or just like the news clips that come up via Google or whatever about how people are, like they leave one another. We have, what I mean? They're not able to stay together because this person feels like they're not getting what they need. This person feels like they're not getting what they need. It's like, the work that you do is necessary. So, you know what I'm saying? Like how are you able to be, like to, what I mean? How are you able to maintain like the same level of interest? Like, like people during the pandemic, like, hey, they found out, all right, we got to always be together. You know what I'm saying? Like I kind of figured out we've grown apart. Like, now that's a problem. Like, so how are you able to like find time to still be like the two of y'all? Like, you're not going to be like not necessarily like when you first got married, but it's like, but you still like you're together because like you're doing forever with one another. Like, so how do you find that in the midst of everything that's going on after you've been to 2 services and you got to be up for work at 7 a.m. and you know what I'm saying? Like you have an hour and a half and it's like, all right, are we gonna attempt to watch a show, or we gonna attempt to have a conversation, or we gonna take the opportunity to go to sleep early? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is it? How do you do that?
So I recently actually just talked about this on my own platform because because I think people think, I heard someone say this one time that they really think that we're talking about the church all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's a common.
I can understand why they think
right?
that.
It's
I
someone
used to think
will.
teachers slept at school.
I was about to say,
Right.
like, but it's the same theory. Like, it's an ingrained thought.
Yeah.
Like, the same way kids think teachers are just like part of the building.
You just
like,
think that.
like it's weird to see them at the grocery
Right.
store.
You be
Like,
like,
it's
what you doing
like,
there?
What do you mean
Like,
you're
they
not
don't eat.
talking about church?
Right.
Like, y'all was just talking
Right.
about y'all relation. Like,
Right.
that's okay.
All
Right.
day.
Like,
How did these kids get here?
People
It was
Oh,
the
we
deep
thought about
prayer.
it. The kid got an issue me once.
people seriously think that. Like, we don't sit around and talk about church all day. And that sometimes at the extent of it, our church conversation is saying, we got church tomorrow night. Basically, in the bedroom, I try to keep the bedroom.
That's where
Like-
that's a bar.
That's the safe space.
Like TD Jakes is not on my bedroom wall. Can I just say that?
Hold on.
Can I just
you
say
ever
that?
been.
and he's not in your playlist.
Come on, he's not in my playlist.
Yo, that R&B project you dropped.
Come
was
on,
cheeks.
he's
I
not
don't
on
know
my
why people was
playlist.
trying to act like that was fire.
That was awful.
Like, no.
It's not on my playlist. Absolutely
There's
not.
mad R&B out there. I'm not doing it.
I try to tell people, we love the church, we love what we do, but we're not in the bedroom talking about you.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
That'd be weird.
So when we get out of church, like last night, we got out of church around 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Mhm.
I'm getting house ready to go to bed. When we get in the bedroom now, most times we're just laying there like, yo, I'm tired. What are we gonna do tomorrow? What you want to eat? That type of thing. And then sometimes we are up. Like I told somebody the other day, I don't just love my husband, I like him too.
That's important.
I like spending time with him.
Right.
And so sometimes the TV's not even on. We just laughing and talk about crazy stuff.
That's dope.
And it's not even about church. It's sometimes it's just about us. Sometimes we reminiscing on when we first got together, and it's like, dude, did you know I didn't like you? That kind of thing, you know? Like we talk about that kind of stuff. It's pillow talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I try my hardest not to bring church stuff in the bedroom because your marriage will not last. You gotta spend time with each other and spend time talking with each other. And sometimes the stress of what happens outside of our bedroom is so overwhelming that I don't even want to talk about it at this point because I don't want to go mad. I don't want to be mad at you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be mad at the world. And it's not even your fault. Like, yeah, it's his fault that he's pastor, but it's not his fault that the world is the way it is. It's not his fault that the level of stress that we're on. I mean, neither one of us asked for this.
Correct.
To be truthful, neither one of us asked for this. We did not expect this. Right?
That was my
It
next
wasn't on the
question.
brochure.
It was not in my.
It wasn't in the
Listen, when I wrote out my lifestyle, it did not say First Lady anywhere in there, and that was because I saw it. Right?
Yeah.
When you think you know what a First Lady is going through, from the outside, it's
that much
20
more.
times more than what we're seeing.
Right.
Right? And my grandmother was First Lady. So I saw her go through. And I saw enough to say, I don't want that. Right? Never wanted it. I said, now I knew there was a certain standard, right?
Right.
Because I'm a church person, been in church all of my life. So I knew I was going to have at least a good saved deacon, right? That's a good deacon.
That's a different commitment.
Right? Deacon come, unlock the
Like,
church,
deacon
lock
ain't
the
that
church,
bad.
and we out.
You want to fight and see if you count a little
Take a
something.
couple
Yeah.
offerings every now and then.
You gotta wait for everybody to leave.
Right.
Make sure
You got the lights during communion.
Come on.
Right.
Right. Pick up the paper, the mint paper that they left on the floor, and we out.
That's it. That's it.
That's the extent of it. I knew that was the limit. I probably wanted it. But when my husband, and this was the thing, like we didn't know that my father-in-law was going to pass. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh. Like what? What? We got to do what? Instant. So I became instant wife, instant First Lady, brand new house, brand new church.
Yeah.
All at the same time. And I didn't know none of them people. And they were telling me stuff like, you're as old as my grandson. Dang, I gotta be your First Lady?
Yeah,
I don't even like, dude.
You was
That's
so
a whole nother layer.
You was so cool too.
I
think
know.
I mean, but just being yourself, you like, you know what I mean? Like
I
it
was
was
trying
like,
to be myself.
and I think for like if I'm going through like my view of that happening, like people were so taken back because they were so senior, like part of the previous regime of how the church was.
Right.
That it's like as much representation that I could see when I was like a teenager at the time, or like in my, you know what I mean, like in my teenage years, it was like cool to randomly talk to Pastor Morgan, and he'd be like, "Yo, like if any of your friends want to come, I'm gonna wear what they wear. Are they gonna wear jeans and a t-shirt? I'll wear jeans and a t-shirt."
Yeah,
that's
and like,
good though.
but people was like,
oh no, people don't like that.
like you know what I mean? Like
people don't like that, but
like
I
that,
think
like
that's
you
important.
messing. Who are you to mess tradition up?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
And it was just stuff like that. I mean, even like seeing that, like it's like, yo, who are you joking with these kids? Like y'all seen when First Lady walked in, like we still do the handshake we created before I had a driver's permit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how it was when like she was just like new to the church. I thought she's cool. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Like, but you know what I mean? Like she was just a cool person.
Right. I'm walking in and they're like, I literally had someone tell me, you will never be my First Lady. And I was like, dang.
already am.
right?
Guess what?
Right.
That's one of those. That's one of those stories that you circle back to when God be like, "Oh, God told me to apologize to you."
Right.
Like, yeah, you're gonna get it.
But you know, my response was, okay, fine, but I'm still Mrs. Morgan.
Mm.
That's still my husband.
Right.
So you're gonna respect that
Yeah.
because that ain't going nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, I won her over, but that type of stuff was thrown at me pretty quickly, and to walk in there and now have to be in a leadership role was a bit much. And so not only was I learning my husband, but I was learning the church at the same time. So I had to learn how to figure this thing out.
That's a lot to juggle.
Let me tell you, I was trying to figure out, at first I was trying to figure out how can I keep the husband and get rid of the church? That's real.
So that's what I was about to ask you.
How can I do that?
Because when I hear those type of resistive statements being thrown at you, like me, like just like I would assume any gentleman here, like, you know what I mean? Like Operation One is protect your lady.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when people start talking like that, like, yo, we need to get away from you. And if getting away from you means go through you or roll over you, that's cool.
Right.
But we gonna be all right.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you like the amount of humility or the amount of not feeding into your flesh and or ego as a religious leader, like, and being young. How did y'all deal with that type of resistance? Because I would only imagine like there's days where you like, my nigga, you gonna fight for me or not? But it's like he's like, yo, I gotta like make sure these people think it's cool.
Right. Right. I mean, there were days, of course, where he was just like, this is where I'm called to. Is I gotta stay here. And so there were days when I have to fight and keep my mouth shut. That's the difficult part. Because not only do I want to fight for this ministry, but I want to fight for my husband. I'm gonna tell you, 95% of the time when I'm pushing, it's for my husband.
That's love. That's
because
real.
that's his calling. This is what God has called him to. And if I want him, they go together. And so there are times where I don't want to do this. I'm not gonna lie to you. I walk in there and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to preach. I don't want to minister. I don't want to like promote anything. I'm tired, right? I'm worn out. I'm trying to do 50,000 things at one time. But when I think about my husband, I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's do this. And there are other times, of course, where I'm like, okay, God, I got to please you. This is about you. You've also called me to this. Yeah. And so, but there are times where I'm just like fighting just for him. Yeah. Because I know what this means to him.
But I think this is an important story to tell because transparency is crazy. Like understanding that, like, to be called to be a first lady and a pastor at a young age after your father passes unexpectedly. Yeah. Like to be basically isolated because the people that were supposed to understand that you guys are going through a rough time because you're going through a loss on top of being given the ministry. So like the people that are supposed to support you now have an ought against you because they don't feel like you deserve it. Right. Like this is a lot to kind of deal with.
Absolutely.
And walk on. And then you got to do it every week or every day of the week. And you got to be okay with, oh yeah, like I gotta take jabs from people that I felt like would never throw shots at me. Like that's tough.
You gotta get it, and it takes like thick skin to be able to take those shots and not say anything.
Right.
I mean, was that something you felt you had the thick skin when you took that role, or you had to develop that thick skin?
Not.
And how do you go about absorbing that kind of pain?
There are days where I would say, God, really, you thought I was good for this? Because I was super shy, super laid back. I didn't say nothing. Like I was to the point where other people had to talk for me. I was so shy. Wow. So to think, okay, God, this is what you want for me? No, I was like, really? You want me to do this? And then there were times where I was surprised myself. And there were people who would come to me and say something, and I would have a biblical response, not just any response.
Oh, yeah.
Not just Reese's response.
Right. Yeah.
I would have a biblical response, and I walk away, go girl. Like, I didn't even know you knew that scripture. Right. The Holy Ghost will speak up for you and just give you something to say. But I'm telling you, it was no. I didn't want to. No, I didn't want to do this at all, and I didn't know that I could.
Mm.
I didn't even know I was strong enough to handle this type of stuff. I ain't gonna say every day I was super strong, but there were some times where I was like really proud of myself because I would have. Listen, I come from a family that fought and then talk to you later.
That's a fact.
Right?
Yep.
That's a fact.
Right?
Yep.
The
Take you out to
Holy-
eat and all that.
The Holy Ghost humbled me. The Holy Ghost humbled me and brought out what's already in me, but also protected me from what's in me at the same time, right? So there were times where I absolutely had to not say anything, but I didn't know I could be this strong. I didn't know I could stand someone not liking me and still smiling in my face.
Mm.
Like, that's crazy when you know someone said something about you and you still have to walk in and smile.
So you said you're 22 years in.
22.
I feel like a lot, like for a lot of us, we find out different things about ourselves. Like, like when you make Kool-Aid, right? Like
Yeah.
if you like you put the sugar in the water, but it all just goes to the bottom. So if you drink it, it just still tastes like water.
Yeah.
Because you know what I'm saying? Like
mix
this,
it up.
you know what I mean? And then you don't know if the amount of sugar in there is enough to be able to sweeten what it is that you're trying to make.
Mhm.
So say, like likening that to your, to your career as a first lady, like when did you get comfortable for sure? Like when because you're like saying, like the Lord just began like to stir up all that stuff,
Yeah.
and be, you know what I'm saying, and really begin to do it. Like, what was the transition? Like, you know what I mean? Like where you were like, because you said you had those times you like, yo, I gave a response, I gave a biblical response, I did, I gave a first lady-esque, you know what I'm saying, response. And a lot of times like that'll happen to us, especially when you're new, particularly in ministry, and people, you know what I'm saying, like you kind of like the Holy Spirit will kind of take over and put you in that like the avatar state. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the cartoon where he didn't know how to use all of his abilities, but the avatar, like the former avatars of the past came in and they took over and used the powers like they were supposed to.
Yeah.
So you kind of get that, but where did you get to the point where you felt comfortable enough and then you were able to do those things on your own?
I don't even know when the transition happened. It was kind of gradual where I started doing things that I didn't even know I could do. And like I said, it was gradual. Like I never thought I'd be preaching. Like what? Who? Me?
And for your daughter, for those that don't know, she be preaching.
Preaching extraordinary.
Never thought that would happen. Not for me. I was way too quiet to be preaching. Like what? And even still, when I get done, my adjutants will tell you when I get done, I lay out on the floor because I'm like, man, I did that. And sometimes I'll be like, who was that? Like for real. But everything was gradual. I went from not saying anything to now I was choir director. KJ knows. I went choir. I was doing choir director. Didn't know I could do all of that. Then I was teaching songs. Didn't know I could teach on that level. Then it was, now I'm to the point where I'm playing drums. Who does that?
I was gonna say add that to the intro.
Somebody said, somebody said, I didn't know you could play drums. I didn't know either. The need came up and I had to jump on.
That's dope.
And so it's like that gradual. These things just kind of be popping up out of nowhere, and I never know I could always do it, but sometimes just the need is necessary. You just got to do it.
I know that feels good for pastor as far as like just seeing like no matter what, like like you're gonna try to support him.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like that. Like I mean, like so when you think about all the sacrifices you have to make, like when you're recognizing it, you're like, wow, appreciate. You know what I mean? Like you know how it feels when your lady's like genuinely there for you.
Yeah.
Not like there with another motive or not. It's not crazy, but like when your lady's
that.
Genuinely there for you.
Yeah.
He said, he looked at me.
In life, there's moments. That totality thing. You know what I mean?
Just
Like
lighten the mood.
great moments when they happen.
The scary part though is when you do something and he didn't know you can. Now he's like, I'm gonna use that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, now you gotta do it more often.
Now I'm like, okay,
I gotta
dude,
do that.
let's chill. I'm not doing that every week. Like what? Yeah. So it's crazy. It's been a journey. You know, I started shameless plug. I started my Me First channel because I want to educate other people who are even thinking about this. So this is where it came from. I was watching this reality show, and this woman said, "I want to be a first lady."
Mm.
To me, that says you don't know, you have no clue whatsoever, or you think it's glamorous. And so I told another first lady, I think we make it look too easy at times
There it is.
because people are running to it. And I'm trying to educate. If you purposely are trying to seek out a pastor so you could be a pastor's wife, something is not right with you.
This ain't what you want.
This ain't what you want. Like, if you really think that it's all glamorous, and if you really think that it's all about fancy dresses and big old hats, you have a total um, misunderstanding of what it is to be a first lady. Your
Right.
mind is not in the right place because it's crazy. It's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of sacrifice that you have to make to be in this role. Never wanted this, never asked for it, and I don't think anyone who asked for this is not in their right mind. They have a different
I think
they have a different understanding of what it is.
people kind of see it from the outside, just like
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I don't presume to be able to have pastoral abilities based on the fact that I watched my dad do it
Right.
for 30 years.
Right.
And in that I've been really close to him. I see a lot of stuff. I know a lot of like behind the scenes stuff, but to actually
Do it.
have that job, I think all people see from the outside looking in are like the anniversaries, the offerings, the suits.
Dude.
You know what I'm saying? They see the first
Offerings.
ladies, like
That ain't
You
enough.
ain't getting
the
nothing.
women's, the women's department came together and they brought her a dress and some shoes. Like
Right.
and so like because you see like sort of that glamorous role, I think that's probably one of the reasons why people think that's what it is that they want. I'm not saying that that ministry isn't for everybody. I don't want to put that out there. In what capacity, that remains to be seen. But I think when it comes to like the type of thing that you all do, particularly first ladies, I think it's a lot of support that goes in it that a lot of people may not be used to giving in the way that it's needed. When you talk about being a helpmeet, and you know what I'm saying, like you like two people looking at something the same way, and you know what I'm saying, like and pushing toward that goal, like no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what the vision is for you guys' church particularly, but I know that he's forward thinking.
Yeah.
And so I know that the way that he thinks, because it's similar to the way that I think.
Absolutely.
And so I have to acknowledge that to be the person to have to deal with those thoughts all the time, that in itself is a job. You know what I'm saying? I know that he's a visionary. I know that he's, he's always looking to do something that people haven't necessarily done even in this area. You know what I mean? Like, and so to have to be the you know what I'm saying, like to be the help to those things and to be the encourager and to like all of that stuff. Okay, well, you have this idea. How are we going to do it? What is the way that we're going to get there? Because even though it seems lofty, I believe in you if you say we can do it.
Right.
But we got to make a plan.
Right.
So I think that's a lot of the things that people don't necessarily look at. But one thing that I appreciated about to me first platform is that you like you have different people on there and you guys have those conversations and say like some of those things. And not only that, but you're there to be able to give wisdom. And of course, when you got there, I think when you guys were married, 24, 25.
I was 23, I think.
Yeah, see, so it's like
I was young
so
too.
I feel like it like that adds it adds another degree of difficulty, because like you said, somebody's like, oh, you'll never be my first lady. Well, it's easy for people to say that when you're 23 and they're 43 or they're 53, and they're like, what possibly could I gain from you? You know what I'm saying? And that's just going to be their mindset.
Right.
And we don't, you know what I mean? Like, but it's crazy to be able to see now, you know what I'm saying? Like what you've been able to give so many others it's, you know what I mean? Like it's because like back then you were just like this upstart wife.
Yeah.
And now, you know what I'm saying? Like, and now like you're a respected pillar in the community. You know what I'm saying? A respected pillar in the jurisdiction. Like, all, you know what I mean? Like, when people say your name, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's with a certain level of deference. So, you know what I mean? Like, and so just kind of speak to what it is that you know what I'm saying, that you want to continue to do moving forward with your platform and the conversations that you guys are having.
Yeah, so I just want to educate because I don't think we understand what it means. When now, of course, there are instances, right, where you're dating someone and they're not pastoring, or they don't even look like they're going that way, right? I have a friend who dated a guy who was a mailman. He was not looking to be a pastor. All of a sudden, he woke up and he's like, "I want to be a pastor. The Lord called me to be a pastor." She called me right away and was like, "What? I don't know what to do. What do I do?" And I'm like, "Dude, let's calm down. Let's figure this out."
That's a whole different level.
It's a whole different
like-
level when you don't know that your husband is called to do this kind of thing, and you're not prepared, and he doesn't even know what's going to happen. But you're growing in together, right? But the fact that my husband was already preaching kind of gave me an insight, but I didn't think it would happen that fast, of course. We actually were planning to move to California.
Were you?
We were going to move to California.
That makes sense.
Ooh.
We were planning to stay here a year, get our funds together, and we were out. That was supposed to
That
be
makes
the plan.
sense.
God
because-
said, "Oh,
Yeah.
That would have
God-
been a move too. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
God
that
was like, "Yeah,
makes
no,
sense.
that's not gonna happen." But I want people to know that being in this role is not easy. The good days are the days where you are with your spouse and you are pushing and promoting them. The bad days sometimes outweigh the good, but you have to push through to get to those good days because they're valuable, and you treasure them a little bit more after you've been through a series of bad days. You treasure those good days, and there are people who are actually running to do this kind of thing. As someone told me another time too, "Oh, I want to be a first lady." I'm like, "You don't know what you're asking for." And it helps me to understand where our mentality is, because I think we think, like you said, people see all the accolades and they see, "Oh, she got a new pair of shoes, new dress, someone gave her that." It wasn't even a dress I asked for. Can we talk about that? People buy you stuff and you be like,
Right.
I don't even like
they buy
this."
you what they like."
And you gotta wear it. Someone bought me something and I was like, "I don't even like this," but I wore it, and then they were like, "I haven't seen you wore my dress in a long time."
Oh, my
It's not yours.
Right, it
You
belongs
gave
to
it to me.
It's at the dry cleaners.
I didn't
like
ask for it, It was an old church mother dress. I didn't even like it. It wasn't even my style. But I'm like, I gotta wear it because they asked for it. Then another person bought me a watch. I just started wearing watches because I break them. My tempo breaks all watches. I can only get away with the Apple Watch. It's the
Right.
only thing that will work. But someone brought me a real watch and was like, "You don't wear my watch." I can't wear them. Please ask me what I want, and I will
Right.
tell you, don't buy me a watch.
Right.
But people just think they know you, and they're always buying stuff, and everyone's seeing that, and they're thinking it's glamorous and it's wonderful. They're sitting in the good seat, they're sitting up in the front.
So they can see.
They can see, right? And you looking beautiful, and you got they. But people don't know that before I left home, I was just in tears because someone just told me off on the phone. Right? There's
Right.
days where
Right.
someone just texted me and said, "You didn't speak to me, and I'm mad at you, and I'm leaving the church."
Right. So that's another thing.
You got to walk in the church and smile through that. I want people to be educated and knowing that just because I'm smiling doesn't mean everything's so wonderful. There's times where I come in church, I'm smiling, I'm doing what I got to do. I'm directing the choir, I'm singing in the praise team, but me and my husband just had an argument. Those are real moments.
Right.
Are you prepared to come into church and still do what you got to do? Because it's not their fault.
How do you get out of that space?
But that's
It's a
that's
weird
what I was
space.
asking, because I mean, like, it's like you're a part of something that's like that is bigger than you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like you're the woman of your household. You're supposed to be like, you know what I mean? Like if the generations above you haven't already transitioned, you're like, yo, I'm going to be the matriarch. It's gonna be me. And it's like,
Right.
no, like it's never gonna be you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's gonna be the church.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? There's always gonna be this thing that you're a part of that is
Yeah.
a bigger thing.
Yeah.
Like,
And I have to constantly think about other women, right? Because I'm over the women's department. I am the role model for the women. It doesn't matter what age, right? And if I'm
Right.
having a bad day, me and my husband just had an argument, and we walk into church, and now I'm throwing and spitting out all that evil on
At men.
everybody else.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
Right.
I got to figure out now, and that takes maturity, how to come in there and say, this is not about them. I'm still mad at him, but I got to come in here and do praise and worship. There's been times where I had just finished crying and walked up there and poured my heart out in worship. Went home and said, I'm sorry.
Jesus.
It's those type of church services that will help me go back home and apologize. But it's those type of church services also that will help me get out of myself and say, this is not about them. They didn't hurt me.
Right.
This was a home situation. So now my responsibility is to give them Jesus.
Yes.
My responsibility is not to give them Reese right now. Because I could damage somebody.
Right.
If I walk in there and I've got an attitude, someone could have just thought about committing suicide.
Right.
And now I'm giving them attitude
Right.
because I had a home problem. I got to come out of that frame. And it's not always easy. And I need to educate people to know that it cannot be about you all the time. Because we are up front, it's not about me. Just because I am the one in charge, it's not about me. It's about them. You're there to serve.
Yeah.
You're not there to show yourself off. You got on your stuff, yeah, but this is not about you. You're there to serve. You're there to be a help to the young people.
I was just wondering with that statement, how much of your life is your own and how much of your life is your title?
Ooh. You know, I'm trying to figure that out too. Because I always ask the question on my channel, how important is it to establish who you are? And I feel like because I was so young, I did not have time to figure out who I was.
Right.
And everything was gradual. Like I said, I started figuring out things that I didn't even know I could do because I found out that I had to grow with the church. And it was difficult. And I am now just starting to really come into my own. Where now I went back to school. I graduated, got my degree, and now I'm starting a business.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So now all those things are coming out
Yeah.
that I didn't know was there. It was all gradual, and I had to realize that the church is not me, right? I do what I got to do, but I'm still Reese. Reese still has stuff that I have to do that the Lord has called me to do. And so now I'm trying to figure out how to pull myself out and not be so involved now where church is all that I'm doing. Because my husband has his own stuff. Now, my husband is not just a pastor. He's also working faithfully in the community. He's on like 3 or 4 different community cabinets and stuff within the city. And so he's doing that stuff. I don't know about other first ladies, but I don't want to be that eye candy and that's it. Right?
Arm all the time.
I don't want to be that woman that I'm gonna tell you now, half the stuff he goes to, I don't go to. Because I'm like, that's your thing, bro. I'm not going to that. I don't want to be a part of that. But I'm learning that there is something that Reese has to do. And so now I'm figuring out, okay, I can do this in the church, but I'm a train.
Yes.
I'm all about delegate.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am not all about killing myself. Trying to do 50,000 jobs to show that I'm the first lady.
Right.
There's got to be some confidence sorry, y'all.
Sorry.
There's got to be some confidence in you that says, I am who I am. The Lord has called me to be who I am.
Yes.
And there's got to be something in you that says, I'm not going to hog all the gifts to show you that I got it going on.
Right.
there's a whole generation behind me. Me and my husband might not pastor this church forever. We might actually retire. Hello.
Come on, see?
And
Right?
I think when you talk about like that's a balance between ego and confidence. Because you're talking
Absolutely.
about how you want to remove ego
Yeah.
so that you can make sure that you're not upset when when the overall thing of the church kind of takes precedence at times.
Mhm.
But having enough confidence to not define yourself by the role so much that you keep trying to prove yourself all the time
All
that you're
the
not
time.
willing to delegate.
Right.
Because I know some people in ministry, they work themselves to death
To death.
just because they're trying to make sure that they're proving that they are who they already are.
Listen, you got to delegate and you got to teach. You got to be able to say, you know what? I did this for so many years, but you can do it better.
Mm.
Right?
Mhm.
I did what I did. I'm 47. There's girls younger than me at my church. I need to be able to use what they got, right? Because
Yes.
they got more knowledge now than I do. They know all the newest slang. They know all the newest things
Right.
going on, right?
Yeah.
I need to glean from you, but I'm going to teach you what I know.
Yes.
So that when I'm gone, you need to take over. You might not be the first lady, but you can work this music department,
That's right.
right? And I need to be able to have enough confidence to give to somebody else so that when I'm off the scene, they can take over and do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right? But we got to understand who we are enough to be able to say that I'm good if you do it better than I am.
You got to be
Yeah.
humble. So what I'm hearing a lot is that you're talking about humility,
Absolutely.
like humbling yourself.
Gotta have it.
Talking about ministry with your husband and the things that you're doing that you have to humble yourself for. Also, when you were new, being a pastor's wife, you had to humble yourself from the responses you were getting.
Mhm.
What I wanted to talk about was if you can shed light towards how do you manage each interaction? Like how do you not lash out on someone else, or how do you not lash out on your husband when a church member says something that's rude, or like when he goes to take up for them? Because like we're people at the end of the day,
Mhm.
but we have to, as in leadership, you have to see both sides. You have to see both sides. Like when he takes up for them aside from you, how do you maneuver that space?
It takes conversation.
Mm.
I have to actually talk to him about this type of stuff. Like
Mhm.
there are times where I'm like, dude, I need you to defend me.
Yes.
When it comes down to it, we are a team.
Right.
Right? And so if I see something off
Mhm.
and you don't defend me, that's a conversation. Because I'm still your wife.
Right.
I'm also a member of your church.
Exactly.
Right? So there are times where he says something and I have to separate the two.
Mm.
And that's difficult.
Some different hats.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta separate the two. I gotta be able to be okay when he says no.
Mm.
Because
Right.
because he's still my husband, but he's also my pastor.
Right.
Like if can you tell if it's spiritual, like can you tell if it's like the spiritual you when receiving disrespect when you're telling him defend you, or if it's the wife in you,
No,
or is it one and the same?
It's one and the same. It's almost always gonna be me as the wife saying, listen, because
Right.
I've been cornered.
That's real.
I bet.
I've been cornered, and I would be like, they did this and they did that, and he wouldn't respond. And I'd be like, why are you not saying anything? Right? That's the wife in me.
Right. Right.
Because I need you. Listen, that's why I got married. I need you to defend me, bro.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
he's also the pastor. He's
Right.
got to think about, I may lose about 5 or 6 members if I go say something.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And so now I'm like,
Yo, but so for you, does
Oh
it like?
my
But because you were talking about earlier how y'all work together, right? It's something where in those situations you're working together. You know that you're not gonna 100% be thinking about everything from a spiritual aspect all the time.
no.
So
Right.
you feel how you feel,
Right.
but then you know, like you go to him he doesn't, you know what I'm saying? He may say this thing that you don't necessarily like,
Mhm.
and then you're having a conversation because now it's like, yo, all right, well, I understand the way that you feel,
Mhm.
but I can't necessarily react because
You can't react.
I have to look at it from the
Right.
way that God is looking at
Right.
this. And we have to be above a certain level. So that means that you have to come up out of your feelings, not in so many words,
You gotta come
but
out
you
of
got to
your
come up out of
feelings.
your feelings, and
Yep.
you got to be spiritual at this time
At this
that you
time.
don't want to be.
Yep.
And I understand you be upset with me, but at the end of the day, I know that we're going to be good because once you get over that, you understand that it's not me not defending you.
Right.
It's that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
this is who we are. This is what we're doing. This is what we committed to.
Yeah.
And so it's dope that you could even come from that place to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, to be up and be like, yo, and I'm sure you do the same for him. You get in, you know,
Right,
like, you
right.
know, I don't even want to pass these niggas no more.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
right,
like,
right.
Absolutely.
That's
We
real.
said
You know,
that many
um,
times. So I
But
want
so,
to go.
one thing that I can say from the outside looking in is one of the reasons that I want you to come on is because the way that you because the way that you guys, even like your entire courtship was done in such a way of integrity. You know what I'm saying? Like that it's, you know what I mean? It was admirable to me, as, you know what I'm saying? Like, young girl might have been like 19,
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but seeing that, um, I wouldn't have thought that it was, you know, that, you know, fast forward to my 40s, that it would be something that I look back on and was like, yo, you know, this is actually the way to be able to, you know, to be able to do things. And the fact that, you know, like, you guys, you know, one of your loves was it's a mutual love of Disney. All
Yeah,
things Disney.
absolutely.
That was amazing. But I'm saying, like, you know, just the way that you guys got together, even when you were dating, it wasn't, you know what I'm saying, it's like not even being out past a certain time. Sometimes, like, even if, like, you know, I was at the house, it's like, yo, we fell asleep watching movies. It'd be like, oh my God, well, you know what I'm saying, like, I'm gonna take her home. You know what I'm saying? Take her home, come right back. It was, you know what I mean? Like, nothing on the
Nothing
you know what I mean?
nefarious.
Yeah, like nothing, no nefarious activities. Like, it wasn't, you know what I'm saying?
It was on the up
You know
and
what I mean?
up.
Like, but it's something to say today, to be able to take your word. I feel like it's worth its weight in gold because of the way that you guys did things, and that you continue to do them through the years, regardless of like the challenges and all of that stuff. Is really an amazing story, and I'm sure that you'll tell it in the book one day. Because one of the accolades that I didn't speak to was that she's author of children's books.
Yeah, I
yeah.
have too.
And so, and we run out. I would implore you to hop on Amazon and run out. Don't walk. Go run out and get that. And so we, you know what I'm
So
saying? Like, but,
you know what? I also have a dream book because I'm a big dreamer. That stuff came out too. I didn't know. First of all, I didn't know dreaming was associated with prophecy. Right?
Yes.
So I didn't realize all the dreams that I had were prophetic. And I would be seeing stuff and didn't know what I was seeing.
Wow.
And so I came out with a dream book where I would just start writing stuff down. And I ended up getting a complete understanding of the prophetic. And here's the crazy thing, right? When it was time for me and my husband to spend some time together, I would see it in a dream.
Ooh.
And the dream would be, now this is the crazy
fire
thing.
alley-oop from God.
Right? It was like, okay, God is like, okay, enough. Y'all need to stop. But here's what the dreams were. The dreams was me with another guy.
Interesting.
Wow.
Those were scary, right? Because I would wake up and go, why am I dreaming about another dude? I don't want another dude. What is this about?
Right.
It was God saying, y'all need to stop and spend time together. And I would tell him, listen, honey, I had a dream about a dude. And you know him. Wait a minute, what? But I had to tell him, no, this is a call for us to spend time together. I don't, it's never going to get to a point where I want to cheat on my husband because I love him that much. But it means that we need to stop. We need to pull back. And so
it's a shoulder tap.
Thank God for those dreams.
Absolutely.
Because that means, okay, y'all are doing 20 more than I asked y'all to do. Like y'all doing way too much. God is like, stop, pull back, do something. And then I had to learn him, right? Because my husband is the king of sarcasm. I wanted to kill him when I first got
Oh,
married.
look at who his sister is.
I wanted
Shut
to
up,
kill
Mom.
him. I'm like, I don't get this sarcasm crap, and you're getting ready to get punched right in your face. I had to learn him, and so like we were talking about, when things would happen, and I want him to defend me, and I want him to stand up. I had to learn that he does not respond to things right away. That was difficult, right? Because I want him. We as women, right? We want him to jump up and just start fighting everybody. That's not how it's gonna be. And so I had to learn him and realize that when something happens, he pulls back and he thinks,
processes.
You can see all the stuff going on in his head. He's trying to figure out, how am I going to support my wife? How am I going to keep my church? How am I going to keep people from not fighting with each other over this whole thing? And I gotta realize not to be that nagging wife and not be put on the tin roof and, and say, okay, you know what? He's trying to figure this out. I'm gonna stand back and let him figure this out. That takes maturity.
Yeah.
That takes growth.
Jesus.
That takes time.
Absolutely.
Because that's not gonna happen overnight.
That's a fact.
That takes time for you to figure out, okay, I gotta let him be the man, let him figure this whole thing out. It all works out. But it's gradual. It takes time. Over time, you figure things out as it goes.
I was gonna go ahead and read. There's only one person who left comments on our logic based. On the logic based collective page. But our homie Amber, hey girl.
Hey.
She said, "This is such an amazing and transparent conversation. It's so important to know and hear what God is calling you to do while still supporting your husband's calling. It's so good to train up others," when you're referencing delegating and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I just going back to, because that was a question I wanted to ask. Like, you just mentioned that you had a gift for prophecy through dreams, and dealing with your calling and your answering your responsibility to God. How did that coincide with being the first lady and you fulfilling what your relationship with God was, but also being that helpmeet to your husband?
I don't think I would have come to understand who I was if I hadn't gone this route. Because I was so shy and so quiet that I think I needed this to pull all that out of me. I would have preferred to go a whole nother way, right? Like we always say, God didn't tell Joseph anything that was going to happen to him.
Absolutely.
Because Joseph would have been like, nah, bro, you can keep all of that.
Right.
Right? But at the end, look what he got, right? That dude was in charge of all
that.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, no. That's not for me. That's for Ruben.
Right. Give that to Benjamin, okay?
Right.
That dude was in charge of all that stuff, right? He got all the benefits of not only being in the king's palace, but being able to take care of his family. If he hadn't been thrown in the cistern, if he hadn't been, if he hadn't seen, and I always compare myself to Joseph because he's seen all those dreams, he saw all that stuff happening, but he couldn't always say everything that he saw because when he did, his brothers was they jealous and they hated him. There are times where God will show me stuff, I can't say it. I can't share that prophecy because sometimes you get to a place where, like people did with Jesus, they're like, oh, that's just the carpenter's son. He ain't nobody, right?
It's Mary Joseph, then boy.
Yeah,
right.
And Jesus was like, I can't do a whole lot of stuff in this place because nobody's gonna receive it. All they only see me as Joseph's son.
Correct.
So they're not gonna accept. There's a lot of times where I don't say what the Lord is showing me in my own church because it will not be received. That's just first lady. She don't know what she's talking about. Or that's just first lady. Pastor must have told her what was going on. He does not. Can we stop that myth? He does not tell me everything going on in the church.
So do you wait sometimes? I know you guys have revivals and stuff. And you have like outside evangelists.
That's when it comes out.
Then they say, and then you come in, and then you're like, hey, well, the Lord said X,
Yeah,
Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Like, dude,
you wouldn't have accepted it.
you wouldn't have accepted it, but I tried to tell you your leg was gonna fall off, but you didn't want to hear me. You didn't want to hear me.
Right,
Those
right.
types of things come out. I can't do a whole lot in my own church, but I will say that a lot of stuff that I encounter, a lot of the levels in which I am now would not have happened if I hadn't been a first lady. I would have completely pulled back from all of this. I would have completely pulled back from trying to preach. Me? No. I would have completely pulled back from the prophetic. Would have completely pulled back from anything associated with ministry because I had seen such bad things happen with my own grandmother. I always tell people this story. My grandmother was smacked, literally smacked in the face
Ooh.
as a first lady.
Mm-mm.
Another lady smacked her in the face. My grandmother literally turned the other cheek.
Oh, that's
Nah,
crazy.
Ain't no way.
Literally.
That is
Did not hit her back.
Woo.
Turned her face and walked. Now my mother, on the other hand, they were holding her back because she was ready to beat that woman down.
You ain't slapping her.
You gotta tender the resignation.
Everybody needs a Peter on staff.
Right.
Hello. Like I've seen that type of first lady, and then I also seen another first lady when I was going to another church. That first lady, we didn't hear from her. She was quiet. We only heard from her once a year. She did not get involved in anything, and she did not talk. Those are the two levels of first ladies that I saw. So I'm like, first of all, I don't want nobody smacking me because you might get smacked back. Number two, I didn't want to be that. Number two, I didn't want to be that first lady that never has a voice. Right? That was not what I wanted. So seeing those two examples, wanted nothing to do with it. And now here I am. But I needed it. It was necessary for my development.
I think it also was necessary for the people coming up behind you.
Absolutely.
And the people that you're training up, only because you paved the way for a first lady that they haven't seen before.
Right.
As KJ said, like him having a handshake with you that you still know to this day was something that he cared about.
Yeah.
Like it meant something to him. Seeing a first lady that was willing to be down to earth, seeing a pastor that was willing to wear jeans because that's what the kids wore.
Yeah.
So they felt comfortable just coming to church.
Right. Because keep in mind, it had been how many years, KJ? Like thousands of years before a first lady was at that church. My father-in-law didn't remarry.
She passed in like 74.
Yeah, my husband was like 8.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So
they had well, like they had the bishop all to themselves.
That was it. So when they wanted to visit the bishop, they just went over there.
Oh, so it was actual Bible.
The women cleaned his house.
Out of pocket business. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you just think about how much,
by the crib.
And it's no disrespect to whatever that model was, but I'm just like, how much access, like, to compare it. Like, now you got a person with their own life that's like, act like, oh, I'm the pastor and I got a job. And
and I got a wife.
Right.
And I'm gonna have kids. Like, like the nerve of you. Do you want to even do this thing?
Right.
Like, you
mean to tell me I can't just drop into your house?
It's a whole lot of you.
Right.
Like,
when we said ain't no stopping by unless you call, that was foreign.
Which makes sense.
It makes plenty of sense.
So much sense.
We're brand new married. I need you not to be stopping by.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I have enough memories of like being like younger and like my mom like doing the programs. For Bishop Morgan. It's like he like it was like he almost encouraged everybody to just pop up.
He would.
Like, come on, everybody, just come over. Come over. I'll order food. Like, yo, you could probably just like tell me over the phone what to type. Like, you can say, nah, come over. I'm getting Blue Eagle.
Blue Eagle.
And I seen the transition because when he passed, and I was with my uncle. People would come by all the time, and we would look at them through the window.
You need to,
like where they couldn't see us. We would just look at them knocking on the door, and it's like they didn't call. Like they, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not what we do.
That's not what we do.
It's just that privacy.
And so many things, like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I know this address. Like, that don't mean that it's not the same permission,
right?
Right.
Right.
Just because you know where the house is, don't mean that. Like, yo, call first.
Yeah,
Have some respect.
please.
Like, you got a wife. You got somebody you like. You don't
Yeah.
like people just pulling up on y'all.
Right.
So what makes you think that we just want that?
This
Right.
is not an open door
Yeah.
policy.
Like, let's use a little
Mind you,
bit
my
of
door is
logic.
closed.
I was thinking about what you were talking about, how you got to always share. I'll give you an example. He had I think it was his 50th birthday. I had 2 parties for him. I had one where it was just his friends.
That's good.
So I wanted him to celebrate with just people that I knew wanted to spend time with him. So I flew a couple of people in to celebrate with him.
That's
That's amazing.
Right. So, but then I knew that the church people was gonna be
They're gonna be
mad.
offended. Yep.
Why we can't be there?
They were gonna be
Why
offended.
we can't be at the party?
Because he can't be a person.
Because he
Everything
can't
ain't
be.
forever.
Because he can't be JP.
Yeah.
Right.
I needed him to
He
be
can't-
JP.
Right.
on
He
his
can't just.
50th.
He has to be Pastor Morgan the moment you walk in.
Right. He got to put on a smile when he don't feel like smiling.
Right.
And so I was like, I gotta have 2 parties, one for the friends, one for the saints. And that's the way it was expensive. It cost me a good chunk. But those are the types of sacrifices you got to make because people feel like they own him too.
Right.
And so if you don't give us an opportunity to celebrate him, then they're mad. And they still was mad that they didn't come
Oh,
to
of
the
course.
private party.
Of
Right?
course.
I'm like, you know,
Why
you
you
gotta
had
have
their
that
party
secret.
first?
I had to have it in a whole different place for him, just for his friends, and then people were still mad.
Party was fire.
It was a good party to me.
I was there.
AJ was there.
So
AJ was like, "Oh, the party was dope."
So in the way
I went
that
to the lit one.
in the way that you all were able to that you like now, because earlier you were saying like you just kind of now like get into a point where you feel like you're hitting your stride in several areas.
Yeah.
So now are you guys in like process of sort of taking your, for lack of a better word, independence from, you know what I'm saying, like from people? Sometimes it's like, so now we're doing this thing, we know that we need to spend time together, and y'all are not going to tear us apart. So in the interest of, you know what I mean, because you, like you were said, you teach people so because God forbid something happened to you all, the church has to be able to run. It has, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
My dad always says is like, if we're not able to go farther than what he did, then he was a failure as a dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so like, that's what you're training people to do. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't have to be around for all of this to be able to, to continue on. So like, are you guys now being able to like take steps, whether even if, like whether it's vacation or staycation or like, yo, we're getting away, don't call me, I'm turning, my phone's on do not disturb. You know what I'm saying? Like, because again, you said earlier too that you guys want to, be able to retire and not die in the position so that you can enjoy your life together and still worship the Lord.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying?
I still love
but
him.
you do in an emeritus role. Like,
Love to be mother such and such.
Hello.
Yes.
I'll be queen mother. I don't mind. Hello.
So, would you say that you guys are in process of being able to do those? And the reason I ask that is because my parents had people they had us. I got out the house early, but you know what I'm saying. Like in terms of like my brothers and our kids and stuff, they're just getting to the point in the last couple of years where they're alone,
right?
And they're enjoying it. And that, you know what I'm saying, to be able to they're still healthy and having good years.
Right.
So you know what I mean? Like, would you say that you guys are sort of trending toward being able to do more of that, even though your kids are still kind of small?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're wanting to do that more?
Yeah, absolutely. So just in January, just last month, we sat down, we wrote out, we got the jurisdictional calendar. We got the calendar for the church.
Intentional.
We sat down together and had breakfast over some eggs and grits.
Come on.
And said, all right, this is where the church falls in. This is what the church is doing. All right, this is what the jurisdiction is doing. All right, this is Reese's vacation. Right? I'm taking a girls' trip in August. Just me.
Nice.
Yes.
Right?
It's important.
What you need to do.
I've told him,
Take
okay,
time for yourself.
this needs to be JP's weekend right here. Because you'll be out of work from school and there's nothing going on for the church. Take a JP week.
We're gonna go to Comic-Con.
You'd have made him excited. He's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I just gotta figure out what week it is.
and then we planned out, okay, this be a week for the kids.
Yeah.
Let's take them somewhere. We ain't going back to Disney. It's too expensive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
But we're like, okay, let's do something. We're thinking about taking New York or something like that.
Mhm.
I'm saying we're not planning this year out without having those 3, at least 4 vacations. JP vacation, Reese vacation, JP and Reese vacation,
Right.
JP, Reese, Bradley 3 vacation.
That's fire.
That needs to be in the calendar every year. And I make him do it. I'm like, sit down. We need to sit down and figure this out. You always got to feed him right. So
Yeah.
you feed him over a good meal.
Yeah.
What Eddie Murray said? Over a hot meal.
Just my workload.
Just workload over a hot meal. When you sit down, feed them, and make sure you're going to put this in the calendar because we need balance. I'm not going to kill myself. And I'm not going to let nobody else kill me.
Absolutely not. Shout out to Tyrell and Anna. Anna Surf said, hey, fam. And Tyrell tuned in and he said, teach auntie.
My nephew.
He said a couple other things too.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask, I know we're talking about marriage today, but just because your children were brought up,
Mm.
how do you walk them through this relationship?
I want my kids to have a balanced life.
Mhm.
I want my kids to know that. See, I was straight church when I was young. I didn't even know there was a world outside of church. Right?
Yeah.
I want my kids because my oldest, right? My oldest son, John, or 3 as we call him.
Yep.
He's a serious dope artist.
Mm.
I want him to go to art school.
Yeah.
I want him to find out
Wait,
that
he
he
draws.
can. Yes.
Yeah.
I want him to find out that he can be an animator if he wants to.
Yes.
So that I'm looking up schools already. I looked up Syracuse University. They got a dope art program.
Mm.
You need to see that there's a life outside of church.
Absolutely.
You can still be somebody's preacher if you want to be, but I need you to know that there's still some stuff. This world there's stuff out there for us.
Yeah.
The stuff is laid up with the sinners. My stuff is
Right.
laid up. I
Right.
want them to know that they can go out there and get it.
Listen,
That's yours.
But I think that's great.
preacher by day, Star Wars cosplayer by day.
Come on. When you can get done preaching and draw a whole animation.
But you get, but there's so many other things because what we do is a lot of times we limit what we think God feels is acceptable.
Yeah.
So like we don't tell people like, all right, you're an artist, but just because you're an artist doesn't mean that you can't put your faith into your art.
Right.
You could draw Christian cartoons. You could draw like other different things. Like you could put a bunch of things together
In a dope way.
in a dope way,
They try to
right?
sell us on Christian
You
hip-hop
right.
early
You
in the
don't
90s.
have
See?
you don't have to be the cookie cutter version of a Christian.
Right.
You can just be you
Right.
authentically. That's who God made you to be, and then show the gift that God gave you.
Right.
Because you don't know what door that'll open.
And I've heard people tell my son, "Oh, you're gonna be a preacher." He might not be.
And that's the thing. I mean, like, it's a lot of, but like, just I think like oftentimes in church, especially like, I mean, kids that are raised in the church, so I can imagine the pressure is a million times more for PKs.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh, like,
Preacher's kids, for those that don't know.
oh, pardon me.
No worries.
But you know, like you'd be like, oh, like kid just sitting there, and it's like, oh man, like heard my dad play this Michael Jackson, and that was great. And I started humming along to it, and they're like, wow, that's great. You got a good little voice on you. You can't wait to hear you sing for the Lord. Slow down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so much pressure.
What do we do when you've done all you can?
But I mean, like, so it's refreshing to hear somebody even as high as you are in leadership and title to like say like it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay for your, like, you know, like, it's like, yo, like, you're supposed to, like, for lack of better words, let go and let God. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, like, support your child because that's your child.
Right.
Like, necessarily, like, oh man, like, you know, and I know you said, like, even like I was there, like, you know, you like, oh yeah, they're gonna start learning the instruments, but it's not like you like, hey, don't do nothing else.
Right.
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 You know what I mean? Like,
everybody's of course expecting 3 to play, and I mean, and
I seen that in your story too.
and
like,
he
you was
can't
like,
sing.
starts, yeah.
He can't sing, and he has been tinkling on there. But he told me, I don't know if I want to play. And we had started him having lessons, But he was like, I don't know if I
Yeah.
want to play it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'm not gonna spend my
It's 'cause
money
you
if
don't
you.
wanna- You don't want to push
I'm
them.
thinking it's gonna be in him just because his father plays.
Right.
That might not be the case,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
He might just want to stick with just animation.
And you don't know what he's gonna. I mean,
I'm
like,
good
you
with
don't
that.
necessarily get everything from your parent, but it's like he definitely got the drawing from him.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
got that
Oh, for
from
sure.
him. Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? So-
Absolutely. And he's got a little voice on him,
Mhm.
but he might not sing. Bradley wants to be a scientist. As a matter of fact, he wants to be a forensic scientist.
Ooh,
Yo, that's crazy because I wanted to be a forensic scientist
Did
when I
you?
was his age. Yeah.
He wants a lab
That's
coat.
crazy.
He's asking for all the stuff for Christmas. I'm like,
Yo,
this is
that's,
dope.
That's we really
I'm
are
gonna push
cousins,
him.
yo. I love that.
Right. I'm going to push him towards that. That's what he wants. Fine. You might not be a preacher.
right.
You can be saved. I want you to be saved.
Absolutely.
But I want you to be saved while you're making the money.
Right.
There's also something to be said about people being able to use their gifts creatively to be able to glorify God. It's not always
Right.
necessarily
Yes.
going to be in a like preaching the things that everybody thinks that you're going to do.
Come on,
It
I
would've been
believe some
fine.
God. I believe God called some nurses, some doctors
He called
to
people
do what they're doing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
lawyers, all of that. Like,
And I think it's not necessarily
Therapists.
always. Everything's not always so direct.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like you said, like, you know what I mean? Like you sit here and you hear all the like common prayers, like when someone's not, when they're ill.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, Lord, guide the surgeon's hands. And then it's like, yeah, but I'm pretty sure like it'd be great to know that like that person like has their faith relationship in store that's like doing a heart transplant on your family member or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just like wow, even if they're respecting the code switching of their job, but they're still
Right.
always like, you know, saying a silent prayer as
right before they
Yeah,
start.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you don't know.
Like
Yeah.
it's like, yo, like more people saying the right thing don't hurt.
Hello.
It would.
Hello.
It would.
Hello. Both of us praying. That's a good thing. Come
Oh,
on.
so this is gonna be
That's what we
successful.
all-
Successful.
that's what we all think is going to happen a lot of times with kids when they're in church, like, early like that. Even, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I lucked out with my oldest son being able to play all of the instruments
Oh
that
my
he
god,
does.
All
he's
of
so
them.
talented.
All of them.
He's much better. He's much better than me. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but like that. But all of them, I was like, yo, if that's not what you want to do, just find something that you want to do. So my other son, he's into music, but he likes acting more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He likes to draw. They'll like, yo, I don't care what you do, as long as I can die and you not be in the streets.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? We're good.
Success.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, be saved and hey man, you know what I mean? Like, maybe you be the deacon. I just
You know what I'm saying? But you see parts of yourself in them too. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
so it's
yeah.
like inspired, like.
Absolutely.
I think it's refreshing to hear that people are basically giving their children the opportunity to pick, to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times, like what we do is, Ryan actually posted this. Ryan said, Ryan's in the chat for the record. He said, you can't force it. You run the chance of pushing them away from it completely.
Absolutely.
And that's the scary part, because I know when we were growing up, I know I'm younger than everybody else, but like when I was growing up, there were a lot of people that went to church only because they were forced to.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they got the opportunity to make a decision,
Ouch.
gone.
To go.
Right. Because they never got they never had the opportunity to make a genuine connection with God.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we rob our children unintentionally of. Like, not because we want to, but because we're trying to force them into what we think they should be, or what we're living vicariously through them,
Right.
or what I should have
I
done.
think just to clarify, because you have to train your kids.
Absolutely.
But the way that for my parents, like they didn't make us be saved. What they did was they were saved. We had saved rules in the house.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereby we had to live saved within the confines of that home.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, but they taught us the things that we should do. This is the way that you need to be if you want a relationship with the Lord. And then they lived it in front of us. And not, it wasn't like, you need to get saved. You need to get saved. They would tell us when the time was appropriate, especially you get up at the altar, you experience a little touch or something like that. Then they tell, well, you know what that was about the Lord. Sunday, like,
Quick.
but they didn't make us. And I'm saying, like, my dad, he did not allow secular music in the house. So us sneaking it in there, me wasting my money buying dubbing tapes, and you know what I'm saying, all that. He like, yo, it was the rule. So you know what I mean. But he still wasn't like, you're gonna get up at the altar and you're gonna be saved no matter what.
Right.
Forgot, you know what I'm saying? Like, it really was our choice.
Right.
I think if I look at things and compare generations from when I grew up to like now, like I like that the parents are offering enough balance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Because to me, I think sometimes like just like a faith-based life seems so intimidating.
Yeah.
Cause it was like
It
what
can
comes
be.
like what comes with a faith-based life growing up, like it's like, oh, like sacrifices. And when I say sacrifices, like it's like you can't be on the basketball team because
Right.
y'all got practice on Sunday.
Right.
Or you can't be a part of this like
Right.
extracurricular thing that you also like because you might miss a Sunday for
Right.
that. And it's like, yo, like that, I feel like that was a very intimidating life, like to Ryan's point, that subconsciously pushes people away.
Right.
Because then you find yourself
You feel like
being
you have to choose.
well, you find yourself being 19, 20 and being like, so I either could do this completely or I can try something else. Like you can't, like, you know what I mean? Like I can't go and be a part of this special interest group because they have things on Sunday. So it's like, oh, if I want to do that, I gotta quit church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's like now, like it seems more realistic. Like I see people like, you know, their kids are coming to church full baseball uniform
Mm-hmm.
because like they got a game
The
after.
game after.
You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
they're able to balance it, or like
Yeah.
you know, like they got their duffel bag because the little girl got a dance recital after. Whatever the
Right.
case may be, it's like
Right.
they're able to live a balanced life.
I think that's what AJ said in a prior episode that his dad made him do, or no, that he does for his kids.
Yeah.
So basically, that. Oh, I'll let you talk.
No, I was saying, oh well, when I was coaching them in football,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, like they, you know, like they had the talent to play. Like this is what we were doing. They had games on Sundays, and so what I did was I made them like they dress in their church clothes.
Yep.
We packed their, you know, like their duffel with all their equipment in it. We brought it to church. Then when it was time to go, you know, like they would get dressed and then, you know, go from there. But the lesson in doing that for them is just, you know, because this comes first before everything that you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not like we have to do one or the other. We do we do it in an order of priority. So we do, you know, we're going to church first. It's important to give our time to the Lord. Where, you know what I'm saying? Then when we have to go, we go. You know what I'm saying? Like, but both things were done. I was just gonna read Ryan's comment. He said, keeping us in church is still something in us to a point that we never really strayed too far. We knew what was in us, but it was never focused.
Right.
Forced. My bad. Yeah, I don't have my glasses on. My bad. So.
But I didn't need, like, these types of things wasn't available for me, like coming up. Like I didn't even know. I wanted to be a dancer.
Right.
Right. I want to be that background dancer
Not a liturgical
on the BET.
dancer.
Not liturgical. I'm talking about BET. That
They live in color.
Right. Come on. I want to be out there with J-Lo.
Liturgical dance is just mad arm movements. There's no real dancing involved.
That's what I was talking about. That's what I wanted to be. But I didn't know I could actually dance and be saved. No one would tell you that.
But people don't say that. That's
They
what
don't
I'm
tell
saying.
you that. You can dance and be saved. Come on, man. Nobody
this
will
is-
tell us that
But
type
this
of
is
stuff.
when, but to me, like though, like, and I think like the transparency that you give in the conversation is very important. Like I'm gonna keep reiterating it because of the position you hold.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like some people are it is going to depend on who says what.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I mean? Like just like a lay member, no disrespect to any of us fellow lay members. I'm right with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you just kind of challenging the status quo.
Mhm.
Like when you're like, so what's really a sin? They're like, here you go.
Mhm.
What's your original thought? You know what I mean? Like, but like, you know what I mean? Like somebody that's an actual already like in leadership, well tenured, to be able to say that boldly and not be just like bought into the standard, like the standard routine of you're supposed to make sure that you uphold this banner that's like across the board for like all the people that are like pastors and first ladies or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
I need people to, this is another thing that I always stress. I need people to realize that pastors and first ladies are humans.
Yes.
Come on, we're drinking the same water that you're
Right.
drinking, putting on our clothes just like you.
Exactly.
We are human. I literally had someone say, You would never go through that, first lady, because you're first lady.
What?
So what? Yes, I'm a first lady, but I've been through that. So there are times where I have to be real. I have to show you that I actually go through troubles. I actually go through trials.
Right.
I actually have problems like you.
But that
But
humanizes you to
it
a person.
humanizes me.
Like me, I find value in that.
Like,
Yeah,
I gotta
absolutely.
tell you and
Some
explain to you.
people,
Because
they
people
don't see
think
it that way.
they don't
Yeah.
see it that way. They think that
It's
we
like,
don't
the
go
devil
through
just looks at
anything.
you. So let me leave her alone.
Hello.
Right.
But that's
That is
It's
not
like
the truth.
but that's what
But I think
10 times worse.
But I think that's the marketing. I think that was I think that image was sold.
Yeah.
Like, you know what
To
I
a
mean?
degree,
right.
Like you know what I mean? Like
Right.
although people are only worshiping that all these people bought you a dress that you may not even like.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what's sold to them. Like, remember I was just saying earlier when we was talking, when I was like, before there was Instagram, like I feel like the church title people that you would see, like it was like the same thing where they would just like show you the highlights. Like, you never seen that they had tough days.
Right.
And it's like,
Yeah.
but then as a new believer, like it doesn't matter how long I've been in church. Like at the end of the day, like you're like, oh, so when you get saved, everything's gonna be easy, right?
Absolutely
But
not.
that's what-
But tell that story.
Tell that story.
I think the huge part about it is just that First Lady Reese is telling the story. Like
That's
right
what I'm
now,
saying.
like
I love it.
just to tell like the authenticity part of it. Tell that you get upset. You
Absolutely.
get angry. I have arguments.
Absolutely.
Like, these things really happen because I think people we get some people are misled
Yeah.
by the overstimulation of positivity.
Mhm.
Not to say that it's bad to be positive,
Mm.
but to actually tell the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Tell where you messed up. Tell where it wasn't as good. Tell when you started to doubt a little bit, where you were concerned, when you didn't know. Only because what happens is new believers and new converts and some old believers just get to a place where they start to do these same things.
Mm-hmm.
And because they never hear anybody say anything about it, they feel like they're in sin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, it must just be me
Mhm.
going through this. And the truth is, it's not.
Yep. I had a women's session. I always hold these women's sessions. They're called iChat. We do it every other year. And one year I did this session where I had everyone hold up a card that's one side of the card said I have and the other card says I've never have. And I would ask questions like, has anybody spent time in jail?
Mm.
Right?
Mhm.
And one person put their card up and said I have. Everybody was shocked.
Mm.
But I wanted other people to know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Or how many people have had an argument about, something and like 4 or 5 people put their card up and said, I have. We got to realize that we're not out here alone.
Right.
Right. And just because I'm a first lady don't mean that I'm exempt
Right.
from experiencing the same things that you're experiencing. If you come to me, I'm gonna tell you, yes, I've been through that. I am not exempt. I'm just as human as you.
Right.
And it's kind of crazy to think that you have a husband and wife and they don't never argue. That's not real.
No.
Almost you put a man and a woman, 2 different types of beings,
Right.
in
Totally.
one place.
Totally.
They're gonna
You
argue
don't
about
think
something.
they're gonna argue about something?
They're gonna argue about something.
Why
I
would
think
you
you
think that the pastor and
argue
first
to you
lady
right now.
wouldn't?
Mm.
Right? Why would you assume that we're not arguing? And we don't argue in tongues. Can we say that?
Because the spirit is just that strong.
We're not going. Oh, ba, 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 sugar. Oh, da, ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba.
Arguing in sermons, you like, no, Reese and Zerubbabel.
Right.
Like
That
that
does not happen like
That'd be
that.
crazy if pastors and first ladies argued like that.
Right?
It's just like,
The
why
middle of
would
the
you not
sermon?
be like so and so in the Bible? Why don't you be like such?
Oh my goodness.
Marriage is
You giving me
marriage is
Job
work.
wife vibes.
Marriage is work. I don't care who it is.
Absolutely.
You got to work at it daily, every single
Yes.
day. So,
So with that, one thing Ryan has said about the liturgical dance, he said a lot of ribbon work. Just in terms of ribbon work. Amber said when
bicep
people
curls.
aren't real, it can give other believers the impression that they are doing Christianity wrong
Right.
when it's just life and trials being a human in this world. That's a bar.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
what it is.
that's dope.
And so with that, we are coming. We're a little bit past the 10 o'clock
I'm
hour,
sorry.
and we start on time.
Oh no, we
It's
started
all right.
at 35.
It's all
We're
right.
right on time.
Yeah.
We start on time. We get see all
8:35, we're right at the
all in on
90
time,
minute.
all out on time. But yeah, as we would say, the hour is far spent. Well, we
All
coming
minds are
to-
clear.
We are coming toward it, and we definitely want to have you back. There's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
Thank you
we
so
gotta
much.
Continue to draw from. But just announce your on your socials, your platform.
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
can reach you.
My channel is Me First. We talk about all things First Lady.
Oh, what's the website?
I ain't no website, bro.
Yeah.
It's just no
Me
YouTube
First,
channel.
YouTube,
Yeah,
Yeah,
first.
yeah,
Facebook.
YouTube.
At Me First.
At Me First.
Perfect, perfect.
And Facebook, right?
And Facebook
Yep.
and Instagram at Me First.
And the names of your books and where they
And
can
my
find them.
book,
If y'all
I got
kids, y'all need
Bradley Bear and Bradley Bear Can Dance.
Mhm.
Those are all on Amazon, as well as my prayer journal. Those are all on Amazon. And hopefully my event space will be open in the fall.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Hopefully we'll see.
Love to be a patron of the event space.
Sure, for sure.
What we gonna throw? What we gonna throw? Something.
No.
For sure.
Hey, also we have spreadtheword.store,
You know it.
spreadthegoodword.com, where our guy behind the mic, AJ, is selling his t-shirts and hoodies. Not just any t-shirts and hoodies, but they have the word on them. If you are one who has just not downloaded that Bible app, or you are busy during the day and don't get an opportunity to read scripture, you can have scriptures right on your shirt and a slogan of your choosing. This is spreadtheword.store, spreadthegoodword.com. Is any hearts and minds clear? We got any church announcements? No.
No, I mean, I know AJ's going to be speaking not next week, the week following at Whole Truth. Am I
that's
right
right.
about
Oh,
that?
yeah.
March.
You're right. It was me.
He
I'm
forgot
the
it.
AJ. Felt like David for a second. You are the man. oh, let's talk about me. That is March 3rd. March 3rd.
March 3rd, he's gonna be at Whole Truth speaking the good way.
You know
We're gonna get with that in. So just until next time, next Monday, 8:30, we hope to see y'all same bad time, same bad channel. But until then, like every week, allow Jesus to be the lotion that lathers your ashy soul.
That's dope.